What is up, YouTube? DGWhipZ here, back again with another video. Today we're going to be talking about what parts can you cheap out on and what parts should you never cheap out on. I'm going to be talking about parts I have on my car that are cheap, they're eBay, or they're just very discount parts. And I'm going to talk about the parts that I did spend some money on and I thought was absolutely worth it. Before we go ahead any further, go ahead and like the video, comment what you think of the video down below, or maybe wait till the end to do that. And then go ahead and subscribe. I just hit 1,000 subscribers. Can you guys believe it? 1,000 subscribers. I'm so psyched. I'm going to be starting the giveaway very soon because I don't know the exact details about that right yet, but if you want to be entered, go ahead and subscribe. And also follow me on IG. I'll be posting updates on there pretty soon as well. So let's go ahead and just jump into it. So first thing that I have cheap on my car are actually these rotors. I've had these rotors for 2 years now. I've had no problems with them. They have not warped. I'm not getting any noises and they've been doing great. Or just these front ones. I replaced these rears at a different time. I'm really regretting not spending money on this that had the rust protectant on them, because now it just looks all ugly and rusty and I really don't like how it looks. I just have not gotten to replacing them because they're good, but at some point I will. So I know brakes are an integral part of your car. If you can't stop, well then you're kind of in trouble, obviously, right? So, but I've had no problems with these, and people that run eBay rotors typically have no issues either. They don't really crack. I also have drilled and slotted. That just helps with cooling. It doesn't really help with like your stopping distance or anything. This is if I like wanted to really run the car hard, and I don't really get a lot of brake fade when I do, so especially for a pretty much stock system, so that's pretty good. Oh bro, 2 of my lights went out. That's really sad. Oh man, I'm gonna have to replace these. So another thing that I run pretty cheap on my car are the LEDs. Now I don't recommend doing these because I have to replace these all the time. I don't even know if this one's on, if you can't tell, but yeah, those, they go out like every couple months, if not sooner than that. And I have not spent the money to go get decent ones. I just keep replacing them. It's because I have a whole bunch, but definitely if you're gonna be replacing your LEDs and lights, spend the extra money and get decent ones. They're not that expensive anyway. Now I know it's very dirty under here. I had to bleed the cooling system a few times and I still need to wipe the excess coolant off. But one thing that is okay to go cheap on, in my opinion, is your intake. Now, you're not gonna get a super amazing fitment or anything like that. It's not gonna look amazing to have the AEM or InGen on it, but for 40 bucks, it's just a tube and a filter, honestly. I would say maybe get an aftermarket filter. You do want the filter to be good quality, but other than that, it's just a tubing and couplers, and as long as they don't leak and doesn't crack, you're pretty much good to go. And I've run eBay intakes on a few different cars, no issues with them whatsoever, and they pretty much don't make any difference to do the exact same job as a $200 to $300 intake. So this is something I actually recommend you go cheap on. It's kind of, unless you're doing a showy car, if you just want the performance, eBay is a good way to go here. Now I'm actually running a $20 catch can here. Okay, I turned the engine off because I realized I was probably annoying me yelling and everything, but I'm running a $20 catch can here. This is what I got off Amazon, and honestly, it does its job. It catches the oil and no issues with it. Now do make sure the lines you run, don't use the lines that come with it. They're basically like poop. This is fuel line, and then this is like, I forget what kind of line this is. You want to typically run a line that can handle oil. Fuel line can obviously handle oil fine. This doesn't usually get a lot of oil, so this is fine running just vacuum line. I know it kind of looks ugly, but I have to actually replace this because this failed. I have to actually replace this one because this one has a lot of oil that goes through it, and it failed because the oil actually breaks down the hose. But this is fuel line, and it's high quality fuel line, so that'll be good for now. And as far as like cheap parts that I use, that's pretty much it. I'm gonna be talking about the high quality parts that I recommend you guys run and never to cheap out on. Now when you want high quality parts on gaskets. Now say your intake manifold gasket, you don't want to cheap out on that. Get high quality OEM. Oil pan gasket, don't get a cheap gasket, get the most expensive one you can. They don't cost a lot of money anyway. Mine is actually leaking because I decided to use gasket maker, but I guess I didn't use enough. Even though I torqued it to the spec and everything, it's leaking, which is just amazing. I've been dealing with a lot of leaks. I've fixed a few of them, but then a few I just keep discovering more, and it's been awful. When it comes to electronics, I would say never cheap out on this. Now, to tell you my personal experience with cheaping out on electronics, I had cam sensors fail on me, and I had this issue for a year because I replaced them with an AutoZone cam sensor, and then it'd work for a little bit, and then the other one would go bad, and then I replaced that one, the other one would go bad, and then another one would go bad, and then I was like, dude, okay, what the heck? I replaced all of them. What you need to do is get all OEM and replace all of them at the same time, and that's the only way to really fix it permanently. Hitachi makes OEM for Nissan. I don't know about your guys' cars, but if you can discover who makes OEM parts for your car, that's a good way to get OEM for cheaper. Cheap electronics will typically fail. Now, these are Amazon ignition coils. I've had no issues with those. They're running pretty good. I've had them in for about a year and a half now. But I cheaped out on my valve cover gaskets a while ago. Those ended up failing, so I had to replace those. But Felpro. Now, when it comes to timing, especially, never cheap out on this. Don't do carparts.com or anything. Only OEM or better aftermarket, no exception. I ran a Cloy's timing chain and tensioners and everything. This is what Aaron Newman is running, if you guys follow him. But when I did my timing, you do not want to cheap out on this, because if something in your timing fails, guys, your engine is done. So it's not worth trying to save the extra buck. Spend the OEM money. Also, I wouldn't recommend going cheap on radiators. I did this on a BMW one time, and the radiator just blew up like immediately, so don't do that. Now, when it comes to aftermarket, I don't know if you guys can see there, I have Tyne Flex Z coilovers. These are like $800 coilovers, not the most expensive, but not the cheapest either. The cheapest you can run are like $250, $300. I don't recommend those. They don't have much adjustability, and they ride pretty rough, and the reliability is just whack. So I wouldn't recommend getting really cheap coilovers or cheap suspension in general, because cheap suspension is going to make your car ride rough, and then they're not going to last, and you don't really want suspension parts breaking on you that can make you lose control of the car. You can crash, and it's just a pain in the ass. Now, when it comes to exhaust, I would say don't cheap out on exhaust, because your car is just not going to sound good. That's just my personal experience. Now, if you just do a muffler delete or something, your car will be louder, but I don't know if it's going to really sound like amazing or anything. I was running muffler and resonator delete. It was pretty loud, and it sounded okay sometimes, but it was pretty raspy as well. So I am running, my exhaust setup costs $1,000. I'm running a True Dual custom X pipe with MagnaFlow resonators. I also have Motordyne art pipes. I still need exhaust tips. This looks ugly. I've been neglecting that. I've been saving money for other projects I want to do, and I've just been busy. But yeah, if you want a decent sounding exhaust, I definitely would save up the extra money and do it right the first time. I actually made a whole video on how to make a VQ sound good. I'll probably link that in the description below. That video's been popping lately. I don't know why, but you guys have been blowing it up, so thank you guys for that. Now, if you want to do anything like performance, like turbo, anything like that, you definitely are going to have to do your research and spend the money. I would not recommend like really cheap turbos or really cheap wastegates or really cheap parts in general. When it comes to that, that's really serious stuff that can damage your engine if it doesn't operate right. So I would not say cheap out on those things, but definitely do your research, see what people say about running cheap things on each individual part. I also can't cover everything. Cars have many moving parts, but yeah, other than that, I think I pretty much covered everything. Let me know what you guys think down below in the comments, what you thought of this video, if you found it helpful. Thank you guys so much again for getting me to 1,000 subscribers. I'm so psyched about it. I will be doing a giveaway for you guys, and we got big plans coming up pretty soon. Stay tuned. I might just boost the NADE for now. What do you guys think? But yeah, other than that, thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you guys next time.